Next up is our segment that we call the best thing of the week. Each week at It's Happening Out, we celebrate great things in our community. Best Thing of the Week is sponsored by Israel's national airline, El Al. El Al was born in 1948, the same year that the state of Israel was born, and it is an expression of national existence and pride. We love that word. And this pride is self-evident in South Florida. El Al features nonstop service from Miami to one of the world's great LGBTQ plus destinations. That's Israel. And this fall, El Al will connect the two LGBTQ plus capitals of the world, which is Tel Aviv and Fort Lauderdale, with seasonal service nonstop between the two cities, and next spring, adding extensive flights between Fort Lauderdale and Tel Aviv. And that's why El Al sponsors the Best Thing of the Week. This week, it's talking about the third annual TransLife Awards. It is one of the first events to kick off this year's Atlanta Black Pride Month. The TransLife Awards is the first event of its kind in the nation, founded by community leaders Dewayne Queen in 2021 with the help of Atlanta Black Pride and the Life Atlanta organization. This year, awardees include Atlanta's favorite drag queen, Taylor Alexander, named Pioneer of Inspiration, alongside Director of Community Engagement for the Transgender Justice Initiative, Tori Cooper, who will be named Pioneer of Culture. This year's Pioneer of the Year will go to trans activist Alex Santiago, who is on the advisory board of the Mayor's Division of LGBTQ Affairs, Atlanta LGBTQ+, and founder of the I Am Human Foundation. The awards take place on September 2nd, and the best thing of this week, Atlanta Black Pride Month, starts with the TransLife Awards. What do we think? TransLife
I think
Awards.
the fact that this event is starting with the TransLife Awards. You know, in college it was always LGB, and there was the whole debate about adding the T, and they only got added on at the very end. I think it's not lost on me the significance that they're kicking off this the whole event. And it's not just focusing on trans people at a gay event as entertainment, that it's really getting into the lives and the meaning of what they've contributed. So I think this is huge.
Yeah. What do y'all think?
There's no better kickoff, right? To be able to focus on the people who've given the LGBT community at large their rights, like LGBT, trans people of color, trans women of color.
They picked up the first brick.
Exactly, and to give them for the people who picked up the first brick to also get that first moment of this month is so critical and so important for recognizing the contributions of trans people of color, and I'm ecstatic about this.
Yeah.
I didn't know they picked it's Marsha. She was trans?
Between her and Sylvia Rivera, there's trans representation in the beginning, in the very initiation of Stonewall. Yeah.
I think it's fantastic. I think that trans people, as much conservative media is taken every day, like, I feel so terrible for trans people. They really are the worst marginalized group of people in America at the time. I mean, maybe everywhere in the world too. But and just so sadistically, for no real end goal other than political gain. Like, they're really just sacrificing these people that are people with feelings and lives, So I'm glad that it starts out with that, and that there's going to be maybe more pride celebrations and parades that start out with that, or at least have a large trans component to it. And I love it seems like their marketing is great. They have a lot of kind of people involved. It's beautiful colors. It just seems like an event that you want to go to.
One last thing that I think is interesting about the trans community and what Atlanta is doing. I went in July to the Pride March at Medellin in Colombia. And I had read in advance that in the march, it was different than other kinds of prides in that it is a parade, but you're invited to participate in the parade, and therefore it becomes a march. I had no conceptual idea of what that really meant. What that really meant is if 100,000 people show up, 94,000 of them are walking in the parade, mostly dancing in the parade, in among us, all of the floats with DJs on every single one of them. It is a musical festival of the march. And Medellin Pride this year completely embraced the celebration of the trans community in Colombia. And I have never in my life anywhere in America seen an embracement of the trans community like I saw in Medellin. And I have noticed this in multiple places of very progressive communities for LGBT and other places in America. One of them, frankly, Havana in Cuba and other places where they, frankly, are doing a better job than we are here in the United States in the embracement of the trans community. We are not the beginning and the end of everything LGBT. So I congratulate Atlanta for this, and they become leadership for all of us to follow and pay attention to, because exactly as you said, our trans community needs an extra bit of help, support, and push. We are Queer News Tonight, the world's first and only live daily LGBTQ+ evening news show, brought to you from Happening Out Television Network. We operate in the same model of PBS and NPR, but for the LGBTQ+ community. We educate, inform, and entertain by supporting the 10 pillars of our LGBTQ+ community, with more than 100,000 a week watching us on Roku, Apple Television, and other channels. To keep the story going, we accept donations with 100% transparency. Stay updated and live authentically with Queer News Tonight.